So I'm not the biggest fan of the character The Fallen or even the movie Revenge of the Fallen. It's one of my least favorite of the Transformers movies. And even though I got the Studio Series leader and I was pretty impressed with it, I never thought this old versus new would happen because I didn't have the old one. And this is something that I kind of just let go by the wayside. I never thought I would do an old versus new on The Fallen, but thanks to a fan in the P.O. Box, I have a copy, not a complete copy, but one that gets the point across. I do have a version of the original 2009. I'm so used to saying 2007 because I talk about the movie all the time. The original 2009 Revenge of the Fallen, Voyager class, The Fallen. So I can actually do this comparison. And honestly, transforming both of these guys into their very ugly, very not good jet modes, I was very surprised at how similar these guys actually are. I was very stunned. The transformations and everything are almost identical. I do want to point out I am missing a few pieces on this one I got in the P.O. Box. Of note, I am missing the face covering that covers the face just a little bit more in the jet mode. I am missing his little chin piece that's pretty much just a little triangle that is on his chin. And I'm missing these little spike things that kind of just move out to the side a little bit on his thighs that would go into those slots right there. That's all I'm missing on this. However, you'll be able to get the point across. You'll be able to kind of get the gist of the original Fallen. This one obviously is complete. I bought this guy when he came out. I was kind of interested in having a figure of the Fallen, and yeah, this isn't going to be one where you struggle to see a clear winner, because I think we do have a clear winner here. But when it comes to the comparison, I was just very surprised at how similar they are. Especially as I transform them, you'll see there is a lot in common between these two. I was very, very surprised. So let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. This Cybertronian Jet Whatever mode. The reason why this is a thing is because he did not transform in the movie. He just didn't. He did not take on an alternate form. It wasn't like Megatron where he had a Cybertronian jet. They just had no alternate form for him. So they kind of had to look at the design and see how they could shape it in a way to kind of look like a Cybertronian jet. And I definitely think between the two, the Studio Series one is far more successful in achieving that. But they're both essentially the same thing, where the head gets concealed in the middle. The arms kind of fold up as like these weird, fuselage things. The legs kind of form these weird wings, and he has a nose cone. That's essentially, it's the same formula. The feet even both end up at the tips of the wings. It's the same formula. It honestly is. But the leader class just upscales it. It makes it better. It makes it more detailed, more articulated, and just overall a more imposing, impressive figure in your collection. The original one, this mode is just not impressive at all. It's funny, I actually was thinking I might have had the face cover, so I went into my Transformers graveyard, and if you want to see that, check it out. It's in the Plastic Purgatory series. But the piece I actually had was the nose cone, and I believe in that video I wasn't sure where it came from, but now I know. It's the Revenge of the Fallen leader, or not leader. I guess he is the leader, but it's a Voyager of the Fallen. It's so confusing. The movie is the same name as him. Yeah, it's his nose cone. But looking at this jet, honestly, even if it did have the face covering, wouldn't really make much of a difference. It's just not very good looking. I'm not a fan. He's got these things that are just kind of sticking out. The nose cone kind of droops a little bit for some reason. I have no idea why. His feet are just kind of sticking out. He doesn't really have any defined shape or any unique form. It's just essentially the robot's doing yoga. You can kind of see those are the legs, those are the arms, there's the head. It's doing yoga. Not impressed. Definitely not impressed with this version of the alt mode. This one, on the other hand, still not super impressed, because you can still see the hands, you can still see the feet, but it does look better. You can put the spear in there, and one thing I really enjoy is the shape. The shape of the weird armature things and the weird side torso webs that attach to to the ankles. It's a very unique shape, and I think it adds a lot of unique design to this alt mode. It almost makes it kind of valid, but it still sucks. I am not a fan. This is actually the first time I've ever transformed this guy. At least I think so. I might have done it once before maybe, but I just did not care about the alt mode. I was here for the robot mode on this guy. And the robot mode on this guy, ooh, wow. Very impressive. I'm very happy I do now have an opportunity to talk about this guy on camera. Because I just don't like reviewing them. You know, these aren't even reviews. They're just casual lookbacks at the old one and the new one. All right. With the crappy alt mode out of the way, let's go ahead and show off how these transform, and then we'll compare the robot modes. So the transformation on the old one is pretty straightforward, but it does have a lot of weird motions and decisions that make it kind of more confusing than it really needed to be, especially with the legs. So the legs, we're going to go ahead and untap them back here, and there's these little landing gears, whoop-de-doo, like that matters. And then we like rotate the thighs down, we'll rotate that. And then, woohoo, we're getting the legs formed. Again, you do have to forgive this copy doesn't have, like, some of the side panels it should. We have to rotate the knee, and then we have to rotate the foot. So just a lot of rotation there. That kind of gives you that digitigrade look. And that's pretty much the legs done. You may be thinking, oh, you didn't flip out the feet. Yeah, you can't. They're spring-loaded. They did a 07 Voyager Megatron with this guy, where the feet just are on springs. So to stand him, I mean, they do pretty much go down when you stand him up. And it is kind of satisfying, but it is still very odd, especially depending on the pose you're putting him in. These weird panels, have those out to the side. And then that can kind of just match that. And obviously you would have the face covering that would be on that hinge, but I don't have that. We'll rotate the torso around. And then the shoulders, pretty much just bring the arms down. Then you have these spikes you can bring back out to the side. Bring the arms straight. You do have these panels, these like little ligaments, and they attach to the torso right there. And I personally like that. You can bring the nose cone up, and that just kind of stays up. So yeah, let's get these little ligaments attached. You can leave them unattached if you want. You know, like I said, it does add it does inhibit some range of motion if you don't attach them. But in my opinion, like, it's such a key character design of the Fallen, I want these attached. Most people don't bother with this older version. They're just like, oh yeah, just leave them off. But nah, man, I need to see it. I need to see the ligament. It's just a unique design element of the character, in my opinion. These arm panels, you do see, like, he's got these awesome, like, red panels all over him. And I think that's kind of neat. But we'll fold the hands in to conceal those panels. And then you can bring out these arm panels on the arms if you want. And then he does have these really cool ones in his head. How you do that, you like flip the face forward, and then those just kind of flip out. I kind of consider that a part of the transformation, but it is optional. I'll leave them out for now because I think it looks cool. I kind of dig it. So there's the original Voyager in his robot mode. Again, the only pieces we're really missing are some pieces on the thighs and a little, like, tiny bit on the chin. It is funny, this one's face can come off, but there's no face underneath. It looks like the glue just came undone, where, like, the head is supposed to glue onto this piece right here. So, you know, you can remove it, I guess, but all right. There's the old Voyager. Let's see how similar the leader class is, because it's surprisingly very similar in design philosophy. I was very surprised when I transformed these before the video. You may be wondering, why did I start in this ugly alt mode? Because I want to leave it off on a higher note. And I also needed to, like, straight up watch transformation videos, because these abstract guys, I cannot figure them out, man. Way too abstract. Definitely way too abstract. You kind of see how I'm just untabbing things. I'm just getting it done, getting it untabbed. The legs are very similar, where we want to rotate the knees and then rotate the feet. Very similar with the legs. Borderline identical. But this time the feet, actually, you need to manually hinge out instead of being on springs. So I personally appreciate that. I appreciate having nice big old stompers on my robot boy. But I did kind of do this wrong, because we want to bring this piece down. We just kind of rotate that along with it. All right, looking cool, looking cool. He's getting tall, though. So his torso piece, which is his face covering, we'll bring that down, tab that in. Look at his weird little stomach and his weird chest. Such an oddly proportioned robot. I'm not the biggest fan of this design, but it's not bad. I do kind of like it. I sort of enjoy it, but I'm not the biggest fan. bring out his little spikes, get his arms down. Pretty much one of the last things we got to do is bring him around town, around the back here. And then these panels will like attach and sort of link up together on his back. Just got to figure out exactly where they go. And I really enjoy this. I enjoy that they very much took a lot of time and effort into making sure he could still have like the ligatures attached to his arms and still give him a lot of his arm articulation without any hindrance. I really enjoy that. And then last but not least, the leader class came with his staff, and we can just feed that through his hand. We can just feed one in through and then tab them together and then feed it down. And there we go. There is our leader class version of the Fallen from Revenge of the Fallen. And there is the Voyager. So yeah, let's get a little bit closer and take a look. So obviously one of these is far more accurate than the other. That's going to be the Studio Series. He actually has an accurate face. He has some of the nice little colors and everything. He just feels more accurate. He's more proportionate. He just looks the part better. Even though this one still isn't bad. Like, it's still a pretty serviceable version of the character. Even though this guy definitely suffers from, like, early movie face syndrome, where even if he did have that little chin piece, the face looks nothing like how he does in the movie. Absolutely nothing. You can see getting in closer on this, it just has, like, this big red stripe down the middle, and that was not a mouth. That was just, like, a weird-shaped triangle right on his chin there. He still has, like, the quills on the head, which I appreciate. And he does have, like, these, obviously, you know, red panels, which are optional. You know, you can have those out, you can have those in. Kind of up to you, depending on how you feel. He does still have the arm ligature things, and I think they are very nice that they're there. But it definitely hinders the articulation significantly. Like, significantly. You can still move him, though, don't get me wrong. But it's just very limited. I do understand why people do that, but I just feel like it's such a key look to the character. I'll detach it to show you the range, but I'll mostly keep it on. Yeah, it's, you know, got these big old arm guards looking cool. He's got his big old flat hands, which I think the new one did a lot better job on the hands. I do appreciate, like, all this orange around him, though. I think that's really cool. I'm definitely digging that. One of my favorite features, though, is the Mecha Live on his knees. He has like a lot of like pistons and moving parts on his knees. It just looks so cool as you bend it. That is sweet. This knee pad moves, this shin guard moves. Just looks super cool. And I guess you could technically count the feet as a part of the Mecha Live too, but as I kind of showed, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Overall, he looks pretty decent. You know, it's not the greatest. You know, again, I'm missing a few parts on mine, but I'm not that stressed about it. If it was missing enough parts where I felt like it would hinder your experience of having this comparison, I would not have done this video. But yeah, you know, looks decent. He's got this nose cone just kind of dangling back here. I don't really think that can do anything. It's just kind of chilling there. His articulation, nothing at the head pretty much, unless you count like this downward for like those red spikes. His shoulders with the arms attached can move up that much, and as you do, it kind of bends the elbow in. The elbow can move in pretty much all the way. The bicep swivel, you can kind of move because it is a rubbery attachment. And then he has like those inward hands unless you do rotate them. But yeah, you know, pretty decent range in the arms. But detaching that, you can see he's got a lot more range. You know, you can move the arms all the way up, all the way around. You can bend the elbow in a lot more. Yeah, it definitely affords more range if you untab it. But I like it tabbed in because, I don't know, I'm a masochist or something. You do have a upper torso rotation as well, which I do appreciate. Kind of makes him look like he's dancing, though, if you keep the arms attached. Oh, I have the pyramids with the things in them. I'm not the biggest fan of the movie. I just think it's too cheesy, and the humor's way too crude. I don't like crude Michael Bay humor, and Revenge of the Fallen just took it way too far. His hips move pretty normally. I already showed off the knees, pretty nice. You do have this rotation in the ankle as well, and then the feet are on those springs. Alright, so that's pretty much the robot mode on the old one. Definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's pretty neat. But this is the one that I think, if you are a Bayformers collector and fan, obviously the Studio Series is the one you're going to want. I mean, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the face. It looks gorgeous. You can actually see the lips right there. You can see like the defined features. It looks absolutely great. Super, super good. And I love the colors on the quills as well. I love me some teal. But obviously, it's not just about the face. It's about the lack of face. Because we're always a big fan of, give me your face. So, yeah, this is very funny that they included this with the Studio Series. I believe for a Hunt for the Decepticons version of The Fallen that was more like blue tinted, they actually did add this feature and gave him a little bit more of an accurate face. But yeah, for the Studio Series, I mean, come on, you had to. You had to give him the, give me your face. It's just so funny. I rise, you fall. So funny. Love it. All right. Let's put his face back on. His shoulders, have some of that orange, some orange along the sides of the body. But the main thing I love is just this continuance of the teal. I just think it looks so pretty. Like on the shoulders and everything, just looks so good. The arms still have some of that orange, and they just look so much better. The hands are really nice and big. Really enjoy that. He's got so many fingers, it's kind of creepy. His legs, pretty similar. You can see these are the panels, like these gray things are the things I'm missing on the old one. But that's okay. I love his feet. He's just got these big old stompers, and I'm just a fan of a robot with big old stompers. His staff is very cool. I'm very happy he comes with that. Because I don't know, I just feel like a big old menacing robot guy. It just looks really nice with the staff. You might have kind of caught on to how awesome all of this is. But yeah, that's sweet. So it's got like a ball joint and then a ball joint and then like this multi-hinge deal right here, then another hinge right there. And you can kind of use it all in tandem if the ball joint doesn't come detached. You can use it all in tandem to kind of give them some, automated motion, and I think that's really funny. Yeah, it's just really cool. I really enjoy how they did all of this. No rubbery pieces involved. It's all just actual plastic, and I think it worked really well. So going over his articulation, so he does have actual head movement. He's got a nice ball joint that will give you some upward motion and some downward. Kind of seems to be on a bit of a giggity, like a hinge and a ball joint. So you can also move it side to side. But do be careful, the face comes off very easily. Come on, get back in. The face is kind of soft, too. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. It's like a softer plastic. So you don't have to be too worried about it like breaking or anything. I don't think there's anything in the torso on the new one, surprisingly. But he does have upward at the arms. Let's show it without this attached first, because I showed it on the other one. So upward at the arms pretty much moves all the way for transformation. Forward, it has all this range, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and then he has a hinge and a swivel at the wrist. But then obviously attaching it, it is going to limit it just a little bit, but it's still pretty surprising. Like you can see, you can still move it pretty far forward before all that comes detached in the back. Pretty far forward, pretty far out. You can still bend the elbow a decent amount before it comes untabbed. It's definitely not bad. And I think one thing that really helps this too, the socket that the ball joint is attached into is in its own little socket. Like this little hinge socket. So the socket itself has a range of motion. So I definitely can tell that they put a lot of effort into making sure that you could still pose this guy pretty decently with all the armature stuff still attached. And I love that. Like, especially that motion. That is just so good, dude. That is just so slick. All right, what else? Hips, pretty standard. Move out, move forward. Knee is on a single joint. No Mecha Live or anything, unfortunately, but still works. Knee swivel. He does have the foot swivel still. But he does actually have this new hinge and ankle pivot down at the foot. So I definitely appreciate that added range. Or is it just a ball joint? It might just be a ball joint. No, it's a hinge and swivel. You can see the screw and everything. It almost feels like a ball joint, though, with how nice and fluid it is. Alrighty. So there we go. There is my old versus new look at a video I never expected to do of The Fallen. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of the character or the movie, I gotta admit, both of these toys are pretty fun and pretty cool. Definitely get the Studio Series if you're out for a Fallen in your collection. It is a lot better, a lot superior. If I'm not mistaken, there's even a really nice, oversized knockoff of it, if that's something you're interested in. But still, the old Voyager, it has its charm. It definitely has that early movie design philosophy. Even, like, it almost feels like a 2007 figure in the Revenge of the Fallen line, if that makes any sense. Like, its simplicity and its sculpt and its inaccuracy, it feels more like a 2007-esque figure than an ROTF figure, which to me tells me that they were probably thinking of the Fallen and the sequel before almost anything else, and this might have been one of the earlier designed figures. It just has that feel to it, man. It just does. But either way, both of these guys are really cool. The Studio Series Fallen is still readily available. It's been out for like over a year, and I still see it all the time in retail. I'm sure you could get it less than retail. It's a fun figure, man. It's pretty sizable, too. Like, this was already a pretty decently sized Voyager, and this is honestly one of those modern leader classes that feels a little bit more justified than some of the other more recent ones. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which one of these do you prefer? Do you have a soft spot for the old Voyager, or do you think the new leader just blows it out of the water? Let me know. I really enjoy both of these guys. I'm happy to have both of them in my collection now. Special shout out to the fan that sent this one along in my P.O. box. Even though it's not complete, it was able to make this video happen. And I am very happy that I was able to make this video happen. I still have several old versus news from the Bayverse I have not had a chance to do because I don't have the old one. So who knows? Maybe I'll get my hands on an 07 Barricade at some point. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But until then, guys, thank you very much for watching. Special shout out to channel members as well. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.